So I'm 23 weeks pregnant and I'm here to tell you what you need to know and what you can expect about being 23 weeks pregnant. I'm Jennifer and I have a 20-month-old daughter called Poppy. I'm also expecting my second baby in January. If you like videos all about parenting and pregnancy, then you should definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can see when I upload next. So as always, I am going to start with the baby statistics and the baby size and things, because that's the most fun part. So at 23 weeks pregnant, the baby is about 28.9 centimetres from head to toe, and it's finally hit that 1 pound mark as they're weighing in at about 1.1 pounds. Their size this week is comparable to that of a mango, which I think is quite exciting. I think that's thrilling. The most exciting thing for me about being 23 weeks pregnant is the fact that we are now 1 week off hitting that viable gestational age of 24 weeks, which that's quite an emotional milestone for me. After having a miscarriage and a chemical pregnancy in January, I just can't believe we're finally hitting that viable gestational age. Basically what that means is that, at least this is how it is in UK law, is that if I went into labour at 24 weeks, they would have to do what they can, what they reasonably can to try and save the baby. And to be honest, the survival rate of babies at that age is getting higher and higher. Their chances of survival are getting more and more. I suspect where I live that's a bit lower because we don't quite have the facilities here without being transported to reasonably far away. But it is just quite, you know, after going through everything I've gone through this year, I'll be so happy next week when I hit that viable gestational age. It's gonna be amazing. So this week has been an interesting one for me in terms of my symptoms. First of all, I'll mention that my fatigue has been getting worse and worse and worse. I've been very tired, but yet somehow my insomnia has like crept up. I don't know how much insomnia has to do with the pregnancy, but the fatigue certainly does. What I will say is that thankfully my daughter, so like in last week's video, I spoke about her sleep progression, spoke about Poppy's sleep progression, and then this week that's kind of come to an end. She slept through 2 nights in a row. Usually she gets up for some milk in the middle of the night just because she is such an active child. She can't go a full night without those calories, where she's gone 2 full nights without this week, which was amazing, and they were in a row and I just couldn't believe it. Wasn't lucky enough for a third though, sadly. The other thing that I'll touch on is that it's a lot more crowded, so my breathing is getting worse, and it doesn't help that my allergies are still bad. They normally have settled down by this time of year, but they haven't this time round. So I've got allergies and I'm finding it hard to breathe, and it's just not been fun in the slightest. The other problem I've had, I think I've mentioned this before, but it's my hips have been really starting to hurt me and they're getting worse and worse. So basically, with my pregnancy with Poppy, with my pregnancy with my first, I didn't get hip pain until she dropped into my pelvis, like right towards the end, whereas this baby has already dropped quite far down into my pelvis according to the last scan I had. It might come back out, I don't know, but right now it feels like they're quite far in my pelvis because of my hip pain. So I only had hip pain in my very late pregnancy with my first, whereas this time round it's been quite a bit worse, which is not good, it's not fun. And it's getting to the point where it's beginning to like limit my day-to-day activities. I need to sneeze. Even just like a quick walk to the shop can be a bit sore. I can't do it without the buggy anymore. I used to be able to like carry my child to the shop and back if I needed to, whereas now I definitely can't do that. So she's been in the buggy a lot more while I've been out for my walk. Yeah, hip pain's not great. I think at some point in the week, if it's still quite bad, I'm going to phone the maternity unit, but what I don't want them to say is like that you need to be resting more and stuff. I don't want that because I don't want to rest more. I know if that's the solution I'll have to do it, but no one with a toddler wants to be told that they need more rest, because you can't get more rest. You've got a toddler, it's impossible. The other thing that I've been up to this week is getting my maternity leave sorted out, which I wouldn't normally touch on, but at the moment that's really complicated. So I generally work in the tourist industry, and my hours over summer are generally like quite full time. I would earn enough to hit that statutory maternity pay mark, no bother. But of course this time round I haven't been at work, my work's been closed, and I've been on furlough. And also because my furlough was calculated based off when I would have been on maternity leave, in terms of the calculations that put my earnings at 0. So my my furlough has equally not been what it would be, so I just haven't been hitting the mark for that pay for statutory maternity pay, which is fine because in the UK we also have maternity allowance, which is not from your employer but from the government. So you still need, like, even if you know you're not going to be entitled to statutory maternity pay because you've not earned enough money, you still need to go to your employer. You still need to take your like MAT B1 and all of that to your employer for them to tell you that you can't get it, even if you know you've got to go through that process. I'm not sure why. And then there's this very complicated form you fill in for your maternity allowance once you've been rejected for statutory maternity pay. So that's something I'm about to start working on, which I'll touch on more next week. But basically it's going to be even more complicated. So like last time I could just hand in my MAT B1, my employer could sort it, that was fine. Whereas this time round I'm going to have to do that maternity allowance form, but there's also like extra sections on it apparently, like to do with how coronavirus has affected your income. So it's going to be madly complicated because my furlough wasn't even calculated on how much I'd normally earn. It's going to be mental. So I just kind of thought I would touch on that here just because it's so complicated right now. And if you're watching this in future years, it might not apply. I hope it doesn't apply anymore. But I just kind of wanted to put that in here in case anyone else is pregnant right now, and like in case anyone else is pregnant right now and just needs a warning that it might be much more complicated than you've had in the past. Thank you so much for watching my video all about what to expect when you're 23 weeks pregnant. If you liked this video or found it useful... Oh, that's Poppy now. You can hear her. If you like this video or found it useful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you're also expecting, let me know what stage of your pregnancy you're at. As always, I'll see you in the same place at the same time next week for my 24-week update. Bye!